11th hour of the 11th day of the 11th month. This Sunday, November 11th, at 11 a.m., hopefully you will hear church bells ringing. That marks the 100th anniversary of the end of World War I. That was supposed to be the great war that ended all wars. It became known as Armistice Day. For years and years, November 11th was Armistice Day. In the 1920s, it started getting switched to Veterans Day, and with the end of World War II, we've pretty much recognized November 11th as Veterans Day ever since then. There are also two other days throughout the year that are recognized military personnel. And I kind of want to clarify what the differences are right now. Armed Forces Day is if you're currently on active duty. You're currently serving the military, you're recognized on Armed Forces Day. Memorial Day are for those people that have passed away, the no longer living, remembering those people who served and gave their life for this country. Veterans Day is the one day of the year that we recognize those people who wore the uniform of one of the branches of service to our nation. Right now, what I would like to do is thank those members of our club who have also worn the uniform of our country. Unfortunately, Eric Markowicz can't be with us today. He is also a Marine. He served sometime in the 1990s. His plan was to be a career Marine. Unfortunately, he had a training accident, destroyed his ankle, and he was medically discharged. Brian Mickey, I believe, served in the United States Navy. What years did you serve?
1989 till 2001.
And then the ugly stepchild to our 4 branches of service is the Coast Guard. CC serves in the Coast Guard.
Ugly stepchild.
Ron, I don't remember, I know you came from a military family, but did you actually serve yourself?
I did. I was in the Army 77 to 80.
77 to 80.
Anyone else that I missed that happened to serve in one of the branches of service? Well, the 5 of us at one point in time stood up in front of a room like this. Several people, a lot of people dressed in uniform, and we were asked to raise our right hand and to repeat after me. I state your name, do solemnly swear to protect and defend the Constitution of the United States against all enemies, foreign and domestic, so help me God. There's a part in there that goes into a bunch of military lingo that I left out, but you get the gist of what that oath means. Now that's a big ass promise, especially when you're 18 to 20 some years old. You're making a huge commitment. One thing I forgot to ask at the time, does that oath ever expire? In my opinion, it does not. It was 35 years ago this month that I said those words, and I still believe in them today. I still follow those words today. That's why for me it's very important that you get out and vote tomorrow. I don't care who you're voting for, just get out and vote. For me, that's one of the obligations I took when I took that oath 35 years ago. Much like CC mentioned, I was a kid, I was in grade school during the Vietnam War. I was in middle school when the Vietnam War ended. There was no such thing as thank a veteran back then. The Vietnam vets were looked upon very discouragingly. It was not a proud time to be a veteran. The military went through about 20 years of bad times. In 1979, with the Iranian hostage rescue operation, where they had 3 helicopters crash in the desert over there, it was probably one of the lowest points for military service in this country. 1983, a suicide bomber in Beirut, Lebanon, drove his truck into a hotel that was acting as a barracks and killed 211 service members, 183 which happened to be United States Marines. That affected me deeply because when I graduated boot camp, I became a replacement for one of those 183 Marines that were killed. Total change in my career, and what they said at the time is when you gave that oath, you were serving at the will of the United States government. You have to do what we tell you to do. So every week when we stand up on Mondays and we say the Pledge of Allegiance, I'm reminded of that oath that I took 35 years ago. I also say the Pledge of Allegiance at my Boy Scout meetings on Monday nights. We also start off our meetings at Rotary on Thursday with the Pledge of Allegiance. So I'm constantly reminded of what those words mean. What I also have a tendency to notice a lot is people don't know what those words mean. For a lot of people, it's just a club tradition, a club ritual. They don't understand why we have to do it. If you ask a lot of people what is one of the things you would change about this club, you would probably get several suggestions that we don't need to do an invocation and pledge before our meeting. It's just a waste of time. We can do more table topics instead. But for some of us, it is important. What I would like to do for you now is go through, because one thing I notice in all of these meetings, because it's a ritual and tradition, people just stand up, they say it, they give no thought whatsoever to what those words truly mean. For me, those 34 words are important. There is a meaning behind those 34 words. So now what I'm going to do is go through the Pledge of Allegiance and tell you what each of those words mean to me. I, me, myself, pledge, my promise, my word, allegiance, my dedication, my devotion, my duty, to the flag, our symbol, Old Glory, a symbol of freedom wherever she flies, of the United States of America, 50 individual, unique countries that when you look on a map, they're all divided by some imaginary lines, yet they've all come together and they've made a commitment to something larger than themselves. And to the republic for which it stands. Republic, our form of government in which the power comes from the people to the government, not from the government to the people. That's why it's so important for you to get out and vote tomorrow. I don't care how you vote, but when those politicians see large numbers of people voting, it means that they can't ignore the people and the power of the people. One nation under God. Who's God? Mitch's God, Frank's God, Amit's God. Doesn't matter. It's your God. It's whoever you believe in. When you pledge to the republic for which it stands, you are saying to whatever higher authority that you believe in that you're making this pledge. Doesn't have to be the same God that I make. Indivisible. No matter how much we're breaking up into our tribes, you got the red group over here, the blue group over there, the undecideds over here, I still believe that in a time of crisis, that this country will come back together much like 9/11 and will be a united force to deal with. With liberty, the ability to go out and live your life the way that you want, as long as you don't harm other people. With justice, our justice system is the greatest in the world. It gives you a chance for your voice to be heard. You get to appear in front of a group of your peers when you're being judged. Now, for the most two important words that there are in the Pledge of Allegiance, and that is for all. Notice I didn't say anything about any and, if, or buts. There's no exceptions. Doesn't matter if you're a male, a female, a transgender. Doesn't matter if you're young or old. Doesn't matter if you're straight or gay. Doesn't matter if you're white, black, brown, red or yellow. Doesn't matter if you're a Baptist, a Catholic, a Protestant, a Muslim, it doesn't matter. What the Pledge of Allegiance says, for all. Did you hear me?